Alright, so XXXTentacion released his new album Skins December 7th. It has 10 songs and it runs for 20 minutes. The album cover, we see him like standing in a blacked out background with his head turned away from the audience, and then you have the title of the album, placed on top of him. And from what I've researched, Skins is a three-part concept. The first part of it is darkness, the last part is light, and the middle being the transformation. And basically, I see this as him describing the three stages of his life when he was here. In the beginning stages, he was in a very, very dark place. And then towards the middle, we saw him undergo a transformation. He started to try to better himself and do more for those that needed his help. I know he was seen as kind of like a beacon of hope for, kids who experienced depression and, was dealing with suicidal thoughts and things of that nature. So I thought that was a fitting title. And then, as you know, with skins, especially like with a snake, the snake sheds its skin, becoming a new being. So I thought this was a pretty interesting title to name his album. But anyways, moving on, singles, we have Bad. Standouts for this album, we have track 2, Guardian Angel. The Guardian Angel is Jocelyn Flores, whom he was friends with and met during the photo shoot he had in Florida. The song uses a reverse sample of the Jocelyn Flores song. He made this in honor of her. When she was down there at the photo shoot, she unfortunately took her own life. He says, "Never lonely when you flowing through my mind." He's speaking about her. "Girl, I'll apologize because I couldn't see the pain in your damn eyes." He's apologizing because he didn't see that she was hurting before she ended up taking her own life. "Cause a nigga made you leave with your heart in between different pains. Couldn't see you when you ain't cry. I guess I'm at a loss for words. To feel so close to someone and finding they're gone the next day, I guess you never realize how permanently damaging that is." So in this instance, he sort of blames himself for not picking up on her signs of depression and not knowing that prior to her leaving to come out to shoot the photo shoot, she hadn't been taking her medication because she was diagnosed with a mental disorder. And so after her passing, he got on Instagram Live and he was kind of very down on himself because he wasn't able to see any signs of depression or anything of that sort. So he sort of blames himself. But, you can't really blame yourself for what other people go through. You try to do as much as you can. You try to pick up on things as you can. But, sometimes people are good at hiding things from you. These types of situations end up happening, which is pretty unfortunate. And then we have Train Food. On his record, X tells a story of coming face to face with the personification of death. He says, "And there he was, he's speaking to death. His presence was alarming as he approached, was casual. We talk about self-harming." This goes back to X's earlier period where he would, do self-harm to himself due to his deep depression and whatnot. And then he says, "Death before your eyes, you praying to God, but ain't no response." So he's basically saying, in your moment of your life flashing before your eyes, you're praying out to God, but he's turned his back on you. And that's how X felt. He felt as if, those around him, or should I say, God had turned his back on him. And so he was lost during that particular time. And he says, "Could have had a son or a daughter. Now what you finna do?" I thought this line was kind of interesting because even though he passed away, it was put out in the public that he's having a son. And I think that before this album even came out, he probably had knowledge of him maybe having a kid, but he kept it hidden away from public, which, that's not always a bad thing. When you're a celebrity, most of your life is, not private, and certain things you may want to not reveal to the public. This is a similar situation to Drake when he was ridiculed for not discussing that he has a child. But if I was in a situation, I wouldn't want my child out there like that unless they decide they want to be out there like that. But he says, now what you finna do? So he's saying you're about to die, and you know that you may or may not have a child coming. And so what are you going to do in that situation? There's not much you can do. This is kind of like a self-reflecting experience when you're going through a situation like that. He says, all them fucking dreams about a diamond chain and a Maybach. Now your time finally up. Ask yourself the final question. Is you going down or up? So at this moment, he's having a self-evaluation of himself. He's saying all that time you spent trying to get a diamond chain or a Maybach is pretty much irrelevant right now. And the true question is if the things you've done in your life, is that going to allow you to ascend to the heavens or go downward towards hell? And then he says, recollecting all the moments that you never gave a fuck, now it's here. So basically, all those times you were saying that you didn't care about living and whatnot, and now it's finally here, and now you're not really ready to go. He says, death has now arrived. Time's finally up. And so, in that, I think towards the end of that, he like switched up his cadence. It kind of reminded me of Eminem on some of the skits where he would switch up his voice or whatever. That last part of the song kind of reminded me of that, which I thought was pretty dope. And I think this is one of the more interesting songs on the album. And then we have Bad. It's the lead single. X asks for a woman's love and compliments her by calling her bad, which means good looking. We have track 7, 1 Minute, featuring Kanye West. Kanye says, the world only know you by your worst mistakes, so spaz on they ass. That's the only way, smash on the gas. Down Stony, A crash, and come back with a swollen face, and when I'm on my way, X hold the gate. So right here, Kanye is speaking both about himself and X. Kanye has been in the news, for his opinions on Donald Trump and, the MAGA head, and him saying that slavery seemed like a choice, which the way sometimes when he communicates things, it doesn't come off how he wants it to be. He was saying that 400 years of slavery, 400 years of having your mind, shackled, you're not thinking freely. And that's what he meant by that. But people ridiculed him for that. As well as when X was alive, he wasn't getting all the praise and stuff he is now. Everything that they would say about him was, oh, you beat your girlfriend and you did this, that, and the third. So he's reflecting. So Kanye in this verse is reflecting upon himself as well as X. And then he also references back to the time he got in a car accident and his entire face was swollen. And that's before he created the Thru the Wire song, which helped to launch his career. And then he says, he asks X when it's his time to go, that he's waiting there at the gate for him. And then he says, because coffins is laid under a tombstone, because even when you die, they still throwing rocks at your grave. Yeah, even though he's dead, they still bring up the bad things that he did during his life, not so much the good things that he was doing, such as, giving back to charity, speaking with fans, trying to help them through depression and other types of situations. But that's what they do to you. And then he says, She want to give you the cookie. You famous Amos. She gave you the pussy, but you ain't pay for the anus. She want to give you the cookie. She want to give you, the coochie. You famous Amos. She gave you the pussy, but you ain't pay for the anus. So right here, he's basically speaking about groupies. They wanna give you the coochie because you famous, and so you didn't have to pay for it. And then he says, now your name is tainted by the claims they painting. The defendant is guilty. No one blames the plaintiff. Gotta say it in layman's terms while you wait on your arraignments. So basically right here, he's saying that, when you're famous, women and groupies and whatnot want to throw themselves at you just, because you're famous. And then now that your name becomes tainted because of, accusations thrown upon you by women, you're there's nothing you can do to get from under that. Even if you're proven to be found, not guilty of that, your name is still tainted by the claims made by, the people who made those type of claims against you. And then he says, no one blames the plaintiff. No one blames the accuser. Got to say it in layman's terms while you're waiting on arraignment. So basically he's saying that when those situations happen, the entire situation is watered down to guilty, not guilty, to a plea of not guilty or guilty. So I thought this song was pretty dope, and I thought it had a lot of layers to it, just like track 3 Train Food did. I think those were like the two standouts for me from this album, the 2 dopest songs as far as content. And then we have track 9, I Don't Let Go. X says, thoughts is fucking verified and I'm on your thoughty mind. So right now he's saying that he's speaking from the perspective of women on Instagram are looking for, their only thought is to, have sex with somebody who's verified, who has that check mark. Thoughts is fucking verified and I'm on your thoughty mind. But I don't want her because I got a wife. Playing with the pen through the day and night. Play with the mind and the beat. Oh. Shawty want to swallow up the meat. Oh. Shawty want to swallow up the meat. Oh. Hey. So right here, he's basically speaking to women, getting into guys' DMs and wanting to have sex with them because of their status. But he doesn't want to because he has a wife. And this could be 2 things. He could be referring to his baby's mother as well as his career, because he says playing with the pen through the day and night. He's writing lyrics day and night. Play with the mind and the beat. He's writing lyrics, and the lyrics that you hear gives the mind thought, and he also playing with the beat. He's spoken at length about playing with different hertz as far as like the type of beat he's using, like tweaking the beat to where it appeals to the human senses in a way to get them to come to it. So right here, I thought this was a pretty dope song too. I Don't Let Go. But anyways, moving on, sleepers, we have Whoa, Mind and Awe, and track 10, What Are You So Afraid Of? Skips for me is the intro and difference interlude. I think it would have been better if he just jumped straight into the album. I don't think there was a need to put those 2 songs into the album. I mean, the intro is fine if you're like beginning, or if it has like some type of depth to it, like it helps tie the album together. But I felt that those 2 tracks didn't need to be on the album. But anyways, my personal favorites are Staring at the Sky, 1 Minute, and I Don't Let Go. My overall conclusion, as I was saying before, I thought Skins was an interesting album title. As you know, you shed skins. So in terms of one's life, you move from one chapter of your life to the next, which is what X did. He was in a dark place early on. Then you saw him go through several transformations in terms of his hair. At one point, he had the blonde and black dreads. Then he had the all blonde with the tree tattoo in the middle of his forehead and his eyebrows and stuff cut off. As you were saying, that was him undergoing a transformation into something else. And then you had the version up until his death where he was, giving back, being more charitable, helping out fans that were going through things. And the album, it was short. I think he was saying that he wanted to play with that, making the album short, and that it was his plans on having future projects with even shorter songs. And from what I've heard, he has one more project coming out, Bad Vibes Forever, which is supposed to drop next year. I don't know where he's gonna go like the direction for that album, because this one, it was short. Hopefully it's not super short. I want him to be actually saying more on the songs, as opposed to maybe 1 to 3 songs he maybe says something, and then the other ones is just chorus, a few words in chorus. So yeah, but other than that, I gave the album an 8 out of 10, which comes out to 80%. So overall, this is a pretty solid project. If you're a fan of X, you're going to enjoy this. If you're not, then you probably didn't really listen to his music to begin with. But anyways, regardless of all of that, be sure to stream his album, buy it. And if you enjoyed my review, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.